Waiting room is enabled. We're muting everybody. We are going to get into it. I see that Jody's hit record, which is great. So like I said, welcome to the 6th Florida 101 Lunchtime Webinar Series. This week's title, Flush This or What Not to Flush. I'm going to go over just some little housekeeping rules for this webinar. We will be hosting, we've got 2 more webinars left after this one. We'll be at the same time at this link on Wednesdays through the end of August. Like I said, Jody has hit record, my program assistant. So we will be recording this webinar. And for that reason, you'll see that you are muted and your cameras are off. We encourage you to engage with our speakers and ask questions in the question box. We are going to allow them to give their 30-minute presentation. We'll launch a quick poll after that just to sort of gauge everybody's engagement, check who's still here, and then we'll get into a Q&A and stacking those questions that are from the chat box. And if you need to go at the end of that half hour, please feel free to do so. Our speakers have included their contact information at the end of the presentation, but we are also, the reason that we are recording this is so that we can post it to YouTube later. So if you've asked a question and you want to come back and check the recording on YouTube for the answer, you can do that. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce our speaker today, who is Dave Watson, the director of, oh, it just says director, the director of Charlotte County Utilities here. Dave received his Bachelor of Science in Engineering from Widener University, and most importantly, he received his Master's in Public Administration from Florida Gulf Coast University. He has been with the Charlotte County government since May 2016, starting as Utilities Operation Manager, and in 2021, he was appointed to the role of Interim Director, and then finally in 2022 was promoted to his current role as the Utilities Director. So he's worked in the utility and the public works industry in both the private and public sectors for 35 years. So we are stoked to have him here to tell you a little bit about why our systems might be a little bit different here in Florida. So take it away, Dave.
Good afternoon. Again, Dave Watson, the Utilities Director. What I'm going to talk about today, first off, we'll start with the utility, the services that we offer and how we provide that service. And then we'll get into specifically the questions about flushing down the toilet and the drain and where we go from there. So our mission statement ties in with the county, provides safe, reliable drinking water, reclaimed and wastewater service for the enrichment of the community. So our services are drinking water, reclaimed water, which is treated wastewater that goes out for irrigation, and wastewater service as well. So where does the water come from? If you live in the middle of Charlotte County or out in the Rotunda area, your water is coming from the Peace River Water Authority. So we receive 95% of our water from Peace River. They service solely those areas within the county, so the Port Charlotte area and the Rotunda area. Peace River pulls all their water from the Peace River. We currently take up to a maximum of about 16.1 million gallons a day from the authority. That is fully treated drinking water, and that is provided to us through their lines, and then it goes into our system for distribution. The remaining 5% is our South County system, which is around Burnt Store. We have our own reverse osmosis water treatment plant down there. We receive our water from multiple wells in the Floridan and Hawthorne aquifers. That raw water is taken to the plant, processed and treated, and then put out into the system through our reverse osmosis technology. We treat a maximum of 3.6 million gallons a day from that plant. Our current average day is around 1 million gallons a day. Our water distribution system, we have about 1,600 miles of main in the system. That equates size-wise to about the city of Boston's water system. You can realize that we have a slightly different population than the city of Boston, but the size of the water system is about the same. Over 18,000 valves. We're around 6,000 fire hydrants, closing in on 70,000 water customers, and we serve a population of a little over 160,000. Our water distribution, we average about 800 leak calls a year. We have people on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they respond generally after hours in less than 2 hours to get out there and see what's going on, whether it's a service leak or a water main break. The numbers are there, 200 calls a year, about 50 main breaks, which is 4-inch main or larger. About 2,000 new services are installed by our crews on an annual basis. And we take about 1,800 water samples each year, which is required by FDEP for regulatory compliance. That would be a typical, what you might see in a service leak or a water main break, water spraying up in the air. Our water system generally runs between about 50 and 75 pounds per square inch. So you do get quite a bit of pressure build up inside there that will spray up in the air pretty good. So as I talked before, we get our treated water from Peace River. When Peace River puts it into our system, that water is going through multiple water booster stations within our system. Now, a water booster station basically takes that water from Peace River, re-injects additional chloramine into it for disinfection, and then pushes it out into our system at a higher pressure. We have 4 of those stations. We have a chlorine injection station by itself. We just have a pressure recirculation station, and we have an inline booster, which is currently in planning. As I said, our normal pressures run between about 65 and 80 pounds per square inch. And we have interconnections with the city of Punta Gorda, Northport, Englewood, Gasparilla Island, and Charlotte Harbor systems. Our wastewater collection, a unique, I guess would be a Floridian term for this. We have 4 or 3 different types of wastewater collection system, and we'll get into those types. And our wastewater collection division is divided into 4 work groups. We have about 365 miles of gravity sewer, which once the water drops into that line, it just flows by gravity until it hits a lift station or a plant. About 7,600 manholes, 381 miles of low pressure sewer, 24 miles of vacuum sewer, about 186 miles of force main, and we're around 320 lift stations now between owned and maintained throughout our system. So our first group, our lift station group, these guys maintain the booster or the lift stations within the collection system, and lift stations account for are tied into our collection system via our wastewater, our gravity water system, our gravity sewer system, our vacuum sewer, and our LPS. So the lift station group kind of crosses over into all the different groups, but they are strictly working at the stations themselves, which have pumps and motors and radio control. They are working 24/7. They respond to any calls that may come out, whether it's odor, overflows, anything like that. They inspect our stations monthly per DEP requirements. We do quarterly electrical inspections and annual pump inspections. Our gravity sewer, we serve a little almost 33,000 customers now. These guys do a number of things. They will video our gravity lines to make sure there are no clogs or dips in the line or breaks in the line. They will remove blockages. I can tell you from my past experience, you never know what you're going to find in a gravity sewer line, especially a manhole. At one point in my career, I found a vacuum cleaner inside the manhole that is not to be flushed. But anything can be down there from, just grease and clogged stuff to dirt, wood, vacuum cleaners. So keep that in mind. Everything flows by gravity in this, so there's no pressure. If something's there to block it, it will get blocked. We do manhole inspections and repairs on a regular basis. We do smoke testing, which is we will put smoke into our system and then take a look in the surrounding houses to see if that smoke comes out anywhere. We shouldn't be seeing the smoke come out, but if we do, that means we have a leak or an opening in the system that shouldn't be there, and we will either take care of it ourselves if it's on our side, or notify the homeowner if it's on their side that they need to have someone come out and take a look. Our force main has air release valves. This allows the sewage to flow at a better rate and not get clogged up, I guess is the best way to put it, within the system. They release the air so that we don't have those air pockets which are holding up the flow. We do force main repairs and replacements anywhere from 1.5 to 24 inch. And we do service lateral installation and repairs along with force main flushing. As I mentioned, we televise sewer. On the right, you're going to see one of our cameras. They generally are either tracked or wheeled. We will go through. The lens rotates around so that we can see the lateral connection from a house or business, and then along with the actual joints in the system as well to see if there's any inflow or infiltration coming in from rainwater or groundwater. Our low pressure system, this is kind of unique to the Florida area. Low pressure is generally used where you have a high water table or difficulty in excavation. It's very shallow in nature compared to some of the other options. We have about 10,000 customers on that. We do the installation replacement of entire systems, and this system includes pumps, panels, tanks, etc. It's kind of similar to a septic system without the septic field. You have a tank, you have a pump, and the pump pumps out the flow into a force main, which goes into our system and then is treated. We do upgrades to the existing electrical panels as needed. If a house has a low pressure sewer system, they've got a panel on the side with a red light. If the red light is flashing, they call us, we come out and we maintain the system, whatever it may be, with our crews 24/7. Our vacuum sewer, that's our newest system. We have about 1,900 customers right now. The vacuum system is an interesting technology. It's new, relatively new to Florida. But it's been around since the late 80s, early 90s. It is another system that is generally shallow in nature for installation. What happens, it's a combination of vacuum technology and gravity. A house will connect to a pod, which is located in the right-of-way in the street via gravity. The water flows into that pod, and then it goes into our gravity system. It's literally sucked out of the pod and sucked to a lift station where it's transported from the station to our plant. These stations have odor control. They've got backup generators for electrical. We've got currently 4 stations, I believe, 4 vacuum stations in operation with several more in planning and design. We have a crew of 5 right now that maintains this system throughout the county. We've got 2 systems currently in operation fully and 1 under construction with 2 additional in planning. Again, our crews respond 24/7 to this. During once we get to the construction, the Ackerman area right now is under construction. If we have a septic failure at that point, then we will go out and pump those out for the resident so that they don't have to pay for any repairs, knowing that their system's going to be taken offline in a relatively short period of time and tied into our public system. Our treatment division, we currently have 4 wastewater plants. We treat everything on site, and 3 of our plants have reclaimed water that flows out of them. We receive septic from septic haulers. So if you have a septic system and you're having it pumped out, it's quite likely that that pumper truck is going to end up at our plant to unload, and then we will treat that septic at our plant and make it clean so that we can get it out in irrigation water. We have an on-site certified lab that does our daily testing, both for our water quality and for our wastewater plants. We do operation and maintenance of the treatment storage facilities and the pumping facilities. And we have regulatory compliance that is done on a daily basis with annual and quarterly inspections by FDEP. This is an example of our burnt store water treatment plant, or wastewater treatment plant rather. What you're seeing are the clarifiers there. Going over that building at the top is our operations building. This plant actually is going to be fully redesigned. It will probably start construction sometime in the middle of next year. The two circular tanks there you see now are water tanks, and that building right at the bottom of the screen there is our RO plant. So we have our RO plant and our wastewater plant actually on the same site down in Burnt Store. It's a kind of a unique facility. It's very compact, I guess, in nature. The wastewater system there was a developer system that we kind of took over back in 2008, I believe it was. And the water treatment plant was built in 08, 09, 2010 to serve that specific area. So we do public relations and outreach. That's where Caroline comes in. We do plant tours at all of our plants. We do speaking engagements. We've gone out to various groups. We go to schools. We've been in the local high schools a couple of times now. We do HOA meetings, special events. We were out at the Public Works Day about a month or so ago. And we're on Facebook and a number of other
Next door.
Yep.
Next door. We have Instagram. So we utilize all those platforms to get the information out.
And that was Caroline. Going back. So let's talk about what you should and shouldn't flush. So part of our treatment plant and personnel is our pre-treatment program. We go out regularly to our restaurants, our hospitals, educating them on what they should and shouldn't be putting down their toilets and their grease traps and things like that. So the 4 P's of toilet is pee, poop, and
paper.
Paper. Yes, paper. I always forget the paper. So those are the 3 things you're supposed to put down. What you're not supposed to flush: wipes, sanitary products, clothing, hair, bandages, cotton swabs, cigarettes, paper towels, medication, plastic, rubber, grease, and cat litter. Grease is one of our biggest problems. Once it gets into the system, what it'll end up doing is kind of solidifying as it goes in, as it cools off, because it usually goes in a liquid form. And it'll get stuck in a manhole. It could get stuck in one of our lift stations, causing clogs, causing our pumps to have problems. And then we'll have to send crews out to either clean it or unclog it in some way. So those are the big things to flush, things not to flush. If you keep it to the 3 P's, our life is a lot better. So I guess at this point, more than happy to take any questions regarding the utility or what you can and can't put down your pipes.
Thank you guys. That was great. I know I learned a lot about all of the inner workings of how water gets to and away from us. So I am going to go ahead and launch our poll. And while we're doing that, if anybody has any questions that they want to put in the chat. I know I've always been interested, Dave, in reclaimed water. You go in, like I've always been interested in how that's used. And could you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So right now we do not serve reclaimed water to individual homes. What we serve primarily are golf courses and commercial buildings at this point. With our golf courses, we generally are dumping into a pond on the golf course, and they are our largest users. Golf courses can use anywhere between 100,000 gallons a day and over 1 million gallons a day, depending on the size of the course, the size of their ponds. We are usually their primary source of irrigation water for the course, and they'll pump out of their ponds. In the On the commercial side, we do have several areas. We serve up in the Murdoch area. I've got a number of customers up there that are tied directly. Their irrigation systems are tied directly into our reclaim lines. We have several reclaim booster stations that pump our water from Eastport, which is here on Loveland Boulevard, all the way out to the Myakka River. Some of it goes across the river to our Westport facility, and then it's repumped from there to golf courses out in West County in the Rotunda area. So the reclaimed water is fully treated wastewater. It is disinfected. It is just not treated to drinking water standards. That's really the biggest difference. There are a lot of terms going around right now. Direct potable reuse is something that may be coming down the road. The EPA and FDEP are looking at that right now, starting to create regulations for that. But that term would be where you take your treated wastewater, you put it into a water treatment plant and have it retreated to water standards. And that wastewater standards and water standards are significantly different, both in the disinfection and the removal of contaminants and things like that.
And is it true that like reclaimed water can effectively be used kind of as not although maybe you can't answer this question. I hear like as a liquid fertilizer, right? Because there's not nutrients removed from them, or
so there are nutrients removed, but they are certainly higher than normal drinking water. And to give an example of nitrogen, right now, our plants remove nitrogen down to anywhere between about 5 parts per million and about 20 parts per million. So yes, it is a source of nitrogen if you want to use it. It is higher than naturally occurring. Our county commissioners have authorized advanced wastewater treatment to be implemented at our wastewater plants. Once that is done, our nitrogen loading will drop from where it currently is between the 5 and 20 down to, I believe it's 2 parts per million coming out of each plant. So it'll still have some nitrogen, but it'll actually be low what the naturally occurring nitrogen levels are in the area.
will that still be used as reclaimed water or will it just be sort of
Definitely. Yes, it will.
Hey, Dave, this is Jody. I didn't see any other questions come through, but I had one myself. I thought it was interesting that you have so many different types of public sewer, but do you have folks that are still on individual septic tanks?
What I can probably say is the majority of the county is still on septic tanks.
Really? Okay. So even like when you said, what was it, a low, I wrote it down because the one that had the alarm on it, a low
pressure sewer. Yes.
That would just be set up like typically for an individual's house, correct? Or is
Yes.
that still all tied?
So when you get down to it, the low pressure sewer is probably the cheapest to actually install as far as the whole system. It's not the cheapest on site, but overall the system is the cheapest. It's really a force main pipe in the street. There are no manholes associated with it. So it's pipe, and then your on site, which is basically a kind of septic tank with a pump or two in it, and then an electrical panel on the house. So while it may be the cheapest type of system to install, over a period of 20 years, it's the most expensive to maintain. And that's generally because, first off, the pumps generally only last about 5 years. So we're going out and pulling the pumps and replacing them. They tend to be more after hours calls than the other systems. So it's more of a manpower issue as well. So that general cost puts it up over the annual cost for gravity or vacuum.
Okay. And those different types that the county is installing, that's just based upon the conditions at each residence?
So where we are right now, so when we get a new development in, like from a developer starting from scratch, we're only accepting gravity sewer from them. So every new development, the Westport development, Biscayne Bay out in Burnt Store, all those developments, they're all gravity. So they're gravity systems with multiple lift stations in them. We have done extensions with low pressure sewer just based on the groundwater tables. And sometimes it even comes down to, where can we actually get the pipe in? With LPS, we can directional drill the pipe instead of open cutting. So in certain areas where there may be a lot of trees or other obstacles in the way, sometimes LPS is a better option for the construction. Our vacuum sewer is in specific areas. We've been going to that mostly, one for ease of construction where we've got general open areas, and two, it's one of the better efficient systems. When we had the hurricane last year, we essentially had zero problems with our vacuum sewer system. We didn't have any breakdowns in the system itself. Yes, we lost power to the station, but we had a generator there, so the station itself was fully functional immediately following the hurricane. It's one of our least labor intensive systems, I guess is the best way to put it.
Thank you.
Dave, I'm curious, you were talking about all these new developments. I'm interested, like, how does that play into the MSBU system? And maybe even take it down. I don't know how many folks on here are even aware of what an MSBU is.
So MSBU is Municipal Service Benefit Unit, which you take an area. The county will take an area and then charge that area for a specific improvement. And to give you an example, our septic to sewer programs. So we've had East West Spring Lake, we've had Elgin Bean, we now have Ackerman. They are in MSBUs. So the people in those areas that are going to be getting the service are the ones actually paying the cost of the installation for that entire system. The county goes out and yes, we will get grants and loans and everything to finance that system. We've been very, lucky in a sense that we've gotten quite a few grants, both from the government and from the state, to help bring those costs down, several $1 million for each project. But the people in those areas are paying for it. It's over a 20-year period. I think right now it's in the $500 per year range. So that's broken down just on their tax bill as part of the repayment plan. So what was the rest of your question there?
Oh, just the new developments and how that sort of plays into those MSBUs.
So new developments are not in MSBUs. The new development, the way that works, a developer come in, propose a project, he constructs the system to our standards, and then once everything is passed, he turns the system over to us. And again, these systems are only gravity sewer systems with lift stations at this point. So they don't have MSBUs per se. Down the road, they may have a public works MSBU, or obviously they'll be in the fire MSBU maybe. But utilities, no, they wouldn't be into an MSBU for a long, long time.
I have a question here from Sarah, actually, one of our hosts. She says, what are your best tips for water conservation for homeowners, either to be more environmentally friendly or to cut down on their water bill?
Well, if you've got an irrigation system, make sure you've got a precipitation gauge. That's number one. As far as the rest of it, make sure you've got aerated heads on your faucets. Make sure you've got low flush toilets, and just keep in mind when you're watering too. Really, when you water, about 15 minutes is about all you need. After that, the water starts running off. You don't need to have your irrigation systems running for 30 minutes at a time or more. So keep that in mind and be very aware that, if it rains, don't run it. I think the best way to keep your bill down is be aware of what's going on weather-wise, and whether you're operating it manually or automatically, make sure that it's working the way it's supposed to.
I'm interested too, Dave. What kind of treatment is there? I feel like we hear a lot about like microplastics in the water.
So we have primary and secondary treatment now. That will take out all your big stuff. When you get into advanced wastewater treatment, that is when you're kind of getting down to the smaller things like that. The advanced waste treatment is going to take out a lot more particulates. It's going to be dropping your nitrogen. It's going to be dropping your phosphates. It's going to be dropping your total suspended solids. All those things down to very low levels, lower, generally speaking, than would be naturally occurring. So that, you are taking those things out. I know PFAS in the water system is a big thing now. It's becoming more and more, I guess, is the best way to put it. There are new regulations coming out on it. I know the state has released some regs on it as well. I don't have all the answers on that yet, as far as how we're going to treat or what we actually need to treat. But whatever it takes, we will be in compliance. I know there's probably a period where you can, adjust your treatment so that you can get those things out. What I can say is everything that is currently required to be treated, our plants are in full compliance, both water and wastewater. We haven't had any out of compliance issues. Clarifying that, with the exception of the Hurricane Irma, when we got our consent order for our wastewater, but that was generally from SSOs, sanitary sewer overflows. Where our sewer system couldn't handle the flows coming in, whether it was rainwater, and we report everything that doesn't get to our plant, I guess is the best way to put it. Anything that goes on the ground, we report with the state. They are aware, and we work with them. One, keeping them in the loop on what's going on, and two, they work with us in identifying and prioritizing areas that we need to work on. So we also have what we call a CMOM program that also generated from our consent order. What that does is it's a capacity management, operations, and maintenance program for our wastewater system. What we do, it requires us to organize our operations, organize how we do things, how we prioritize projects, how we replace mains, how we inspect them. What we do with our residential connections, our smoke testing, our inspection program, all that brings it all together in a much more organized fashion than we previously had it. Generally it's a requirement now within the state FDEP. The state has the regulations in there. They just don't call it a CMOM program, but all the pieces of it are there that each individual utility needs to follow.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Dave and Caroline, and getting all of that together and being here today. I don't see any more questions in our chat box, so I'm going to go ahead and say that we did it, team. So you can find this recording. We will get this up to our Charlotte County IFAS YouTube channel as fast as we can, and we'll share that with Dave and all of the public the utilities team. And you can join us here at the same time, 12 o'clock next week, Wednesday, for our next series, which is Can I Eat This? So, a really